So the football season is all but over, and what better way to mark its ending than imagine just how different things might have been for our team had they been completely different. Hopefully that makes sense. We're going to have a look today at how the Premier League might have looked if it was ranked only on shots on target created. Here's the table now. There are some interesting statistics in this. Manchester United would have topped the table with 215 shots on target. Now, given the poor start to the season they had, I'm actually surprised that they would have topped the table, but they did. We'll have a look at their conversion rate in a minute. There's no surprise City and Arsenal with 205 and 186 shots on target would also be at the top of the table. But obviously there was a huge gulf. Manchester United had a terrible start to the season and they were never going to challenge for the title. And part of that is the goals per shot on target. They converted about 31% of their shots on target, whereas Arsenal around about 39 and Manchester City around about 38. We're obviously far, far more clinical, and you would expect, it's no surprise, is it, with the quality of forwards they've got at those two clubs. Manchester United's 31%, though, is a little bit worrying for them when we compare it to even some of the teams who went down. But it does suggest that if they get themselves a more clinical finisher in the transfer window this year, they really could be, with the number of chances of creating, they really could be challenging once again for the top honours in the Premier League. Now, if we look down at the bottom of the league, Burnley would have finished rock bottom. I don't think there's any surprise there with 118 shots on target. But they actually converted 33.6% of those chances, of those shots on target. They actually converted a higher percentage than Manchester United, as did Wolves, who converted 35.7%. West Ham, they went down. They converted 35.6%. So all of the teams that actually went down actually had a higher conversion rate than Manchester United, who topped the table. Quite an interesting statistic. Now, let's have a look at which teams out there had the highest percentage of the shots they had hitting the target. All right, how many? Rather than just number of shots on target, what percentage of the shots they had actually hit the target? Down in 5th place, we have Fulham with nearly 43% of their shots hitting the target. Then we've got Liverpool with just under 44% of their shots hitting the target. Wolves, believe it or not, 44.4%. Nearly 3 of the 6 shots they had on target this season were on target. That's just a joke, Wolves fans, by the way. Love you. Leeds, nearly 45% of their shots would have hit the target. And Crystal Palace actually would have topped the league. 45.57% of their shots hit the target. So some interesting statistics there. The least clinical attacks, when everything is kind of taken into consideration, was actually Manchester United, which is bizarre, followed by Liverpool. Now, obviously, when we say least clinical, they did create a lot of chances, but in terms of the number of the chances they created, which were on target, and then those that were on target that were actually converted, if we're looking at those stats, Manchester United had actually one of the statistically least clinical attacks in the Premier League, followed by Liverpool, Everton, Burnley, and West Ham. So basically the takeaway of that is Manchester United create an awful lot of chances, but they also wasted a lot of good chances. And Liverpool had an awful amount of low quality shots. So there we go. That's just a brief look at how the table might have looked based on shots on target. There's not much else to say other than I'm going to go away and figure out a way that I can sue Southampton. I think everybody else is working on it. I don't want to be left out. And see you next time.